Kia ora and welcome to the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite life coach. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Rachel Pilwell, book buyer, Austenite, and all-round nerd.
Hiya!
Today we're discussing Chapter 27 of Emma by Jane Austen. In Chapter 27, it's the day after the Coles party. Harriet and Emma visit Ford's. Frank and Mrs. Weston turn up. They go to visit the Bates to hear the piano. Then Emma and Harriet join them. Miss Bates talks excessively. I mean, how surprising. And we discover Mr. Knightley has been sending them all of his apples.
What a gentleman. He's trying to keep that doctor away.
Well, they can't afford him.
Exactly. He's such a good guy.
Emma, hilariously, is thinking about how well the party at the Coles went. They were worthy people who deserved to be made happy. This is an echo of her father saying they were worthy people. She's enjoying the splendour of popularity.
When do you not, Emma? You're always popular.
So she can't be perfectly happy about it. And the line about perfect happiness, I'm pretty sure this is echoed in the final chapter when we talk about the Knightley's marriage. She wonders whether she has transgressed the duty of woman by woman because she told Frank that she thinks Jane is into Mr. Dixon, betraying the womanhood by doing so.
Everything Emma says about Jane is betraying the womanhood. Mostly the lesbian womanhood. You are actually in love with her. Be good to her.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Everything Emma says about Jane is a slight, whether it's to her face or not, pretty much.
I only look at her to admire her, but I hate her. I just hate her.
And I guess this is a more overt form of, not betrayal, because she feels no sense of loyalty to Jane, but it is worse for spreading that kind of rumour. Although I do think it's pretty funny that she said it to Frank, who was actually engaged to Jane.
She's so lucky that that's the case, so he's not going to spread the rumour.
And he knows it's wrong, and so he's not going to be like, oh, did you hear about this? Because that could also ruin Dixon's marriage. So many worse consequences depending on who she said it to.
She doesn't know Frank that well.
And she knows that he's connected to the Dixons and Jane. She's saying it to someone who has the connections to get it back to those people. Not just random people in her country community, like if she said it to Harriet. Harriet might tell people at Mrs. Goddard's school about it, but none of them have the connections to get it back to the people that they're talking about. And if she said it to Mr. Knightley, who she does know very well, Mr. Knightley would tell her to shut up because you're being an idiot. Don't talk about people like that. But she doesn't know anything really about Frank or his character. And if he was a worse person who wasn't interested in Jane, he could go to the Dixons. Jane could lose a friend. The Dixons could have a blow up in their marriage. It could be a real big scandal just because Emma is gossiping.
I think the modern equivalent would be me going, oh my God, Rachel, do you know that your flatmate is having an affair?
What?
I have no evidence of that.
No. And I know it's not true, but I'm the Frank Churchill in this situation. But if you told someone else in my friend group,
it could blow everything up. Emma should know better.
I feel like we've said that a lot. Emma should know better. She doesn't.
I feel like Mr. Knightley says that a lot.
Yeah. Mr. Knightley is one of the few characters who knows Emma should know better and is actively trying to make sure she knows better. But then she's got so many people enabling her. There's probably a lot that she either doesn't know or just ignores because she's been catered to.
Also, Mr. Knightley is one of the few people that actually know her. She doesn't tell Harriet this.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that she cannot be her full and complete self with.
Yeah.
But Mr. Knightley, Mrs. Weston, not even her father, but Mr. Knightley and Mrs. Weston are probably the only people she can be her complete self with.
The ones who know her so well. She doesn't see them as equals per se, but she doesn't need to. But she's not trying to hide anything from them. She doesn't have a motive to hide anything from them.
No, but she doesn't want to upset her dad, so there's stuff that she doesn't tell him.
That's fair.
She wants Harriet to think well of her. Harriet does think well of her. Harriet's like, you play just as well as Miss Fairfax. My playing is no more like hers than lamp is like sunshine. Emma knows she's not as good. And it indicates that Harriet does play because she wants to play as well as them, but obviously she's not a lady performer like the other two, so she wouldn't have had the access to teach us the same. She doesn't like Jane's Italian singing because she can't understand it. Oh, sweetheart.
Just wait until you hear about K-pop.
It shows her lack of culture. She also is talking about taste and execution. Emma has taste, but she doesn't think that Miss Fairfax has taste, but Miss Fairfax has execution. Does taste mean something different?
I have no clue. I would say, like, is it about the song? Like the the style of music? Because I think that, taste of, like, your personal choices. Well, when it says, like, when you say to someone, oh, you've got good taste.
And then Harriet goes into, how do you think the Coxes looked? Because it turns out that Mr. Martin's been having dinner at the Coxes' house. One of the Cox girls is trying to feel out Harriet to see if she's still into Mr. Martin.
Some competition has arisen. Although, is it competition when she's rejected him? She's taken herself out of the running, but obviously she's still jealous about it.
Emma describes the Miss Coxes as very vulgar. And in my head, I always hear it in the voice of the actress from Bride and Prejudice, when the Lydia character is wearing a midriff-bearing top. Her sister Mary says it's very vulgar. Every time I read that, that is how I hear it. Apologies for the horrific accent I just did. Harriet and Emma go to Ford's, and Emma goes with her because it would be dangerous for her to go alone. She might run into the Martins.
So dangerous.
There's this line which explains Harriet's character so well. Tempted by everything and swayed by half a word.
It's so true, but it's so sad.
And there's this ridiculous thing about where she should get the ribbons sent. In one of the adaptations, the Emma character just says, it's fine, we'll take them with us. Which seems much more sensible.
Yeah.
Why are you getting them sent anywhere? It's not a giant package.
It's ribbon. Just take it with you, hold it. Do you have a reticule? Put it in there.
Whereas if it were
a dress?
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, get that dress sent to you.
And there's a very cinematic bit. Emma goes outside to wait while Harriet's dithering. She's quite amused by everything that's going on in Highbury. I have this vision of Highbury from the description in the book, where it's very like one of those towns in an old western where there's just one street and there's stuff on either side of it. And at one end of that street is Hartfield, and at the other end is Donmar Abbey. Because Miss Bates is right in the middle of town, and so there's one street. Emma sees Frank and Mrs. Weston coming from Randall's, and it's so cinematic, this like, we're just looking down this one cowboy town, and then the scene enlarges, and it's the two of them.
Strolling along, harmonica music playing in the back, tumbleweed crosses the street.
Emma's so in her own head that she thinks they're walking to Hartfield. Obviously, they're just stopping at Miss Bates on the way.
Where is the final destination if not her home?
They come over to see her once they see her rather than go to Miss Bates. Frank has been working pretty hard. He's like, oh, Mrs. Weston, you totally said you would go and listen to that new piano. And you said you'd go today. Did I? I don't remember doing that. No, you really did.
Gaslighting.
And then he's like, oh, but I'll just be in the way. I can stay with Miss Woodhouse. Although Miss Woodhouse is shopping. Maybe she doesn't want me either.
He needs some courses on how to be...
They don't pick it up. He's so subtle.
To their eyes, there would be no ulterior motive. There isn't, like, why would he want to go see the Bates? What would he have that to do there?
Oh, I have to put up with Miss Bates talking all the time. It's so hard. Then he's like, what if I don't like the piano? I'm going to have to lie to them. I'm not good at lying. And Emma's like, I'm pretty sure you can be insincere as anybody else. Really, Emma, you can see that now?
I mean, you're calling him a liar? You? Pot, kettle black man? Master manipulator much?
He runs off with the hope of Hartfield to reward him because they're going to go there after seeing the Bates. You're so clearly in Emma's mind here because it's all about Hartfield with her, and he's obviously into her and obviously reluctant to see the Bates.
And she's just really overhearing what she wants and she's thinking, oh yeah, of course, like, he might come along. It's like, no. That's where he was always planning to be.
He manages to get Miss Bates out of the house, though, hilariously, and I love the way that Jane Austen describes this. Voices approach the shop, or rather, one voice and two ladies.
It's such a good line.
Because you only hear Miss Bates. I would love to see an adaptation of this where you literally have Miss Bates talking and then like a little picture shoots in, because she describes everything exactly as it happened. She's like, and then he said this, and then I said that. Why could we not just do that? And everyone's standing there going, uh-huh.
In Ant-Man, one of the other characters who plays the best friend of Ant-Man's character, he is always talking like, oh yeah, well, my cousins, brothers, sisters, aunts, nephews. But as he's saying it, the movie like switches to that person, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person.
I love that.
Oh yeah, well, my brother's well, she said this thing. And then it cuts back to the regular scene and he continues talking about it. I feel like you could do the same thing with Miss Bates' character in a movie. I feel like you could just turn those moments of hers into some kind of weird little like comedy action scene where it's like,
the actors mouthing the words and it all coming out in Miss Bates.
out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You should direct a version of Emma.
Sure. Someone give me some funding. I would love to do adaptations of every Austen in a different way, but it would also be a lot of work, and I have a lot of projects on the go at the moment. There's a giant speech of Miss Bates, possibly like there are little breaks, and it could be other people talking in between, or it could just be her talking the entire time. And I love that because you see later when she talks to Mr. Knightley, there's a similar sort of thing. He'll be like, well, I assume she's talking and he's talking, but you're not seeing all of it. And she goes on to talk about the apples that they got from Mr. Knightley, and they're sending them off to the bakers to get them baked, because apparently baked apples are the only way that Mr. Woodhouse thinks that they're thoroughly wholesome.
Sorry, it took my brain a second to think, baked apples, how does that make them more wholesome?
I don't know.
But it's so Mr. Woodhouse. Or like, you couldn't have a whole regular apple. It has to be baked, otherwise his teeth probably couldn't get through a whole apple.
We do need to consider that fruit at this time was treated differently because they didn't import from overseas to the same extent. And
they didn't have pesticides to keep off any bugs, so they probably had to cook the food more so that they could get rid of anything like that.
Stuff would be seasonal, so you would store it in a way or cook it in a way that it could be stored so it would last longer.
Just back to Miss Bates and the breaks in her speech. I feel like no one else would talk during her monologues because everybody knows they're not going to get a word in edgewise, so they won't bother. And I feel like the breaks might be her pausing for like 2 seconds as if expecting a response before she continues.
She might not actually get a response because it goes, how is Mr. Woodhouse? There's a break. I'm so glad to hear such a good account. It doesn't say that Emma actually says anything. And maybe it's up for the reader to interpret whether Emma actually says something or just nods and Miss Bates runs on.
Emma could nod and open her mouth to reply, but there is no reply. She's just like, oh yeah, and just keeps going. If someone was constantly talking to me, it's hard to get a word in.
Miss Bates is just the most hilarious character and so genuinely nice because she also turns and goes, oh, Mrs. Ford, I didn't see that you were there. How are you? I've heard great things and la la la. And then she's like, what was I talking about? Emma wondered on what, of all the medley, she would fix.
It feels like Mrs. Bates is just a true representation of ADHD.
Bounce, 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 bounce.
Yeah. Just wearing a Tigger costume and just like next thought, next thought, next thought. And there's like,
oh my god,
it's all
Tigger
stream
has
of consciousness.
ADHD.
Don't you know? All of the characters in Winnie the Pooh represent different neurodivergencies.
No!
Rabbit is OCD. Piglet is anxiety. Owl...
Eeyore is depression.
Eeyore is depression. Owl, I think, is dyslexic. And then apparently Christopher Robin is schizophrenic because he's imagining all of his toy animals as real creatures.
We might need to look this up and put a link.
It's like a whole thing. It's a whole theory that actually A.A. Milne accidentally created this whole
neurodiverse world. Love it. Back to Miss Bates. Going on and on about the apples. They should all be kept for Jane, even though William Larkin said that it was all of the apples that Mr. Knightley had.
If someone gave you all of the apples on their orchard, would you think of that as a romantic gesture or not?
Yes. Later in the next chapter, Mrs. Weston's like, oh really, he gave all of the apples. What do you think? Emma, I told you, Emma, he's into her, Emma.
Like why it makes people think that he's into Jane. He's actually doing it just to be kind because he knows that the Bates need help. Yeah. And actually he can spare the apples. But to everybody else it would be like, that's such a big romantic gesture.
They agree to go with Miss Bates, and the chapter ends with them walking up and Miss Bates continuing to talk as they're walking up the stairs. Take care, there's a little bit of the turning, to every single one of them.
Does Miss Bates's brain get enough oxygen? When does she take a breath? Because she's constantly going. From like the moment she sees someone in the morning to the moment she goes to bed, I feel like every time Miss Bates is mentioned, it's just constant. Like it's just no breath. She would make an excellent rap artist though.
She could do it.
Let's get her into the musical Hamilton.
And that's our discussion of chapter 27 of Emma. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwer.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We wish you happy reading.
Hi, we're Frances and Rachel, and we think that Frances should adapt a version of Emma. If you have money that you are willing to give us to do this, please, link in the description.